Hey friends, tonight we're diving into something that touches every corner of your life, your health. Not just the eat your veggies kind of health, but the deep, sustainable kind that shapes how you feel, how you move, and how you show up for your life. Whether you're already on a wellness journey or just now thinking, okay, maybe it's time to start. This moment right here, it's for you. Picture this. You wake up tomorrow feeling clear-headed, calm, and genuinely ready to take on your day. No chaos, no pressure, just a steady rhythm of taking care of yourself in ways that actually feel good. Sounds kind of dreamy, right? But here's the thing. Healthy habits don't just fall into place overnight. They grow slowly like roots, quiet, steady, and a little magical. So before we get into it, go ahead and tap that like button if this kind of content feels like a warm cup of tea for your brain. And if you feel like hanging out with me more often, hit subscribe, but only if it feels right. Also, drop a comment to say where you're listening from and what time the rest of the world has paused for you tonight. Now take a second to get comfy. Maybe turn on a fan or a soft lamp. Let the day melt off your shoulders. And together, let's settle into a quiet space where change doesn't feel so overwhelming. Just one breath, one step, one gentle habit at a time. You probably think that life-changing habits have to be, well, big. You know, the wake up at 5 a.m., run 10 miles, drink celery juice, conquer the world type of routine. But here's the secret no one really emphasizes. It's the tiniest wins, the ones so small they almost feel silly, that actually set everything in motion. You brush your teeth. Boom. You've already checked something off your list. You make your bed. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because your brain loves the order. That small sense of accomplishment? It's not meaningless. It's a cue. A signal to your mind that you're in motion. That's the domino effect of tiny wins. When you stack one micro success after another, something incredible happens. You begin to trust yourself again. You become the kind of person who follows through. And once your brain starts seeing you as someone who finishes things, it wants to help you do even more. It builds momentum like a slow-moving train, hard to get going, but nearly impossible to stop once it's rolling. There's a mainstream truth that supports this. Psychologists often talk about the success spiral. Basically, small achievements build confidence, and that confidence fuels bigger challenges. So when you start your day with something simple like drinking a glass of water or taking 3 deep breaths, it might not seem like much, but neurologically, you're already rewiring your sense of identity. And here's where it gets a little quirky. Did you know that some people train themselves to become left-handed just to build discipline? It sounds extreme, but this unusual habit forces the brain to adapt, proving how flexible your routine and your brain can be when nudged intentionally. It's not about being ambidextrous. It's about proving to yourself that you can shape who you are, one awkward spoonful of cereal at a time. Still, experts argue whether these tiny efforts are truly enough to create lasting change. Some researchers believe that you need a strong emotional connection, a why behind the habit to make it stick. Others believe structure alone, even without deep emotion, is powerful enough. You'll probably find it's a bit of both. You don't need a tearful movie montage to take your vitamins, but having a gentle reason behind your habits doesn't hurt either. So what might that look like for you? Maybe your reason is feeling more comfortable in your own skin. Maybe it's showing up for your future self, the one who wakes up feeling rested instead of rushed. Or maybe it's just having the energy to walk your dog without feeling winded. Your why doesn't need to be poetic, just needs to matter to you. Let's zoom out for a second. When you picture healthy living, it might look like a giant wall of habits: meal prep, exercise, mindfulness, 8 hours of sleep, hydration, journaling, flossing, learning a new language. Okay, it's exhausting just listing them. But if you tackle that wall one brick at a time, it becomes something very different. It becomes doable. That's the beauty of starting small. You don't need to rearrange your whole life overnight. Start with one brick. Drink a full glass of water as soon as you wake up. That's it. That's your whole goal for day one. And if that's all you do, you've already succeeded. The next day, maybe you add a stretch. The day after that, you open the window and let in the morning air. These aren't huge lifestyle shifts, but they build into one. And the real magic? Once these micro habits become part of your rhythm, they run on autopilot. You stop thinking about them, and your energy can finally be spent on what matters more. How you feel, how you show up, and what kind of life you're building quietly, gently, habit by habit. If you've ever watched someone juggle flaming swords on a unicycle and thought, wow, how do they do that? Well, they didn't start there. They started with beanbags in a garage. The same principle applies here. You don't start by cooking elaborate vegan meals while doing yoga and writing in your gratitude journal. You start with one thing, and then you let that one thing open the door to the next. Eventually, your brain stops resisting. You stop negotiating with yourself over whether or not you should do the healthy thing, because you've already decided the kind of person you are, and that person, they show up for themselves even in small ways. So tonight, maybe the habit you start with is even smaller than you expected. Maybe it's taking 3 slow breaths before your head hits the pillow. Maybe it's setting your socks out for tomorrow's walk. That's it. No grand declarations. No spreadsheets. Just one quiet action to tell your brain, hey, I'm moving. I'm growing. I'm not stuck. The best part is, you're not doing this out of guilt or pressure. You're doing it with kindness. You're building a better life for yourself without making it a punishment. And honestly, that's the kind of motivation that lasts. Let's talk about the art of thinking smaller. Not smaller as in less important, but smaller as in more doable. Because let's be honest, you've probably had at least one burst of motivation that ended in disappointment. Maybe you told yourself you'd start a whole new routine on Monday. You wrote a list. Maybe color-coded it, bought a new planner. You were ready, and then Tuesday happened. You missed a step, maybe 2. Suddenly the whole system felt like it collapsed. That's not failure. It's just proof that the goals were too big to stick. And that's where the real magic of starting smaller than you think comes in. See, your brain loves finishing things. It's weirdly satisfying to check off a box, even if it's as tiny as drink water, or stretch for 1 minute. And when goals are so easy that they're almost laughable, something interesting happens, you actually do them. That's when habits start forming. Not when you try to do everything perfectly, but when you do something consistently. There's a well-known behavioral science trick called the 2-minute rule. Basically, if a habit takes less than 2 minutes to start, you're much more likely to keep doing it. Want to start journaling? Just write 1 sentence. Want to move more? Put your shoes on and step outside. That's all. You don't have to write a whole page or walk 5 miles. You just have to start. The momentum will come after. Now here's the funny part. There are monks in Japan who follow a form of mindful walking where they only take 1 slow, deliberate step every 30 seconds. Yes, 30 seconds. Per step. And it's not just a spiritual exercise. It's a reminder that slowness is still progress. Imagine adopting that mindset for your habits. That even the tiniest action, done with intention, is a powerful move forward. Of course, not everyone agrees. Some experts argue that setting too small a goal might feel meaningless over time, or that without a little challenge, you won't grow. Others push back and say that you need to earn momentum before pushing harder. So what's the truth? Probably somewhere in the middle. You can start with small steps and slowly turn up the dial when your brain is ready for more. But for now, keep it simple. Here's a mindset shift that might help. Instead of thinking, what's the most I can do today? Ask yourself, what's the least I can do that still helps me grow? This takes the pressure off. No need to overhaul your entire diet. Maybe you just eat 1 more vegetable than yesterday. That's it. Maybe instead of doing a whole workout, you do 5 squats while brushing your teeth. Still counts. Your body doesn't care how official it is. It just responds to movement. And when you stack these low-stress choices, they create high-impact change. Because your brain starts identifying with your actions. Suddenly, you're not trying to be a healthy person. You're becoming one quietly, in the background of your everyday life. Remember when we talked about the domino effect? This is where it takes root. When your goal is so small that failure isn't even on the table, you take that first step more often. And each time you do, the next step gets a little easier. Let's zoom in on how this plays out in real life. You want to meditate every day? Don't start with 20 minutes. Start with 30 seconds. Literally set a timer. Close your eyes and breathe. That's it. Let your mind wander. It's fine. You showed up. Trying to eat healthier? Instead of cutting everything out, add one better choice. Just one. A handful of nuts. A glass of water before coffee. A piece of fruit in the afternoon. It doesn't have to be Instagram worthy. Just has to happen. Even flossing, yes, flossing can benefit from this mindset. Instead of committing to your whole mouth, tell yourself to floss one tooth. Sounds ridiculous, but you'll almost always do more. And if you don't, well, one is still more than zero. These small actions build trust. And trust is everything when you're building something that lasts. Because here's the truth no one talks about. Motivation is unreliable. It fades. It sleeps in. It forgets. But if your habits are light enough to carry without it, they'll keep going even when your energy doesn't show up. And slowly, without drama, without burnout, you start to realize you're doing it. You're living the healthy life you used to just dream about, and you're doing it in a way that doesn't feel forced. One glass of water. One step outside. One deep breath before replying to a stressful message. That's where the change begins. Not in a grand gesture, but in a quiet moment of kindness to yourself. So tonight, if you've got that little voice in your head saying, you should be doing more, I want you to gently say back, no, I just need to do something. That's your new rule. Start small. Stay kind. And let the rest unfold naturally. Let's say tomorrow morning rolls around, and you're already a little groggy. You hit snooze once, okay, twice, and now the day's starting to feel rushed before it even begins. Sound familiar? That's exactly why this next piece matters so much. Because your morning isn't just a time of day. It's a tone setter. A little launch pad. And the truth is, the first hour you're awake can either carry you or completely trip you up. But let's get one thing clear. We're not talking about some high-pressure, productivity overload kind of morning. No 4:30 a.m. alarms. Number 17-step miracle routines. You don't need to become a motivational quote on Instagram. What we're building here is a gentle morning routine. One that supports your health and your motivation without overwhelming you. One that feels like a soft hand on your shoulder saying, hey, you've got this. Because when you wake up and do even one thing with intention, it creates a ripple. And your brain, it loves rhythm. It loves familiarity. So when it starts recognizing a sequence, wake up, drink water, stretch a little, open the blinds, it starts linking those actions to calmness, clarity, and forward motion. Mainstream wellness advice backs this up too. Studies consistently show that people who establish simple morning rituals, no matter how short, tend to report higher emotional resilience, better focus, and more follow-through on their goals throughout the day. It's like your brain gets a mini pep talk without you even trying. But here's something fun. Did you know there's a whole subculture of people who start their mornings by reading the same poem every single day? Same poem. Every day. It sounds repetitive, maybe even odd, but it's actually a form of emotional anchoring. The repetition becomes comforting, predictable, a cue to center their mind before the noise of the world starts pouring in. And that's what you're aiming for, not perfection but a pattern. Something you can lean on when motivation feels thin. Now, experts still debate what type of morning routine works best. Some argue for quiet stillness, meditation, breath work, silence. Others claim motion is the key, walking, light yoga, or even just stretching in bed. But here's the truth. You don't have to choose a side. The best morning routine is the one you actually do. The one that fits your life, your body, your energy. So what could that look like for you? Maybe it starts with not checking your phone for the first 10 minutes. I know it's a reflex. But just imagine letting your own thoughts wake you up before the world's noise floods in. Then maybe you sit up slowly, take a long inhale, and drink a full glass of water that you left by the bed the night before. That's hydration. That's self-care. That's progress. After that, you stretch. Nothing fancy. Just arms up side to side, maybe a roll of the shoulders. Let your body remember it exists. Then you could step outside. Even for 1 minute. Let the sun or clouds or moonlight, depending on your shift, hit your face. Natural light tells your brain, hey, it's go time. That small exposure starts regulating your internal clock, gently guiding your energy levels for the rest of the day. These are the basics, the groundwork. But from here your routine becomes whatever you need it to be. Some people journal. Others make their bed slowly and with intention. Some brew tea just for the ritual of it. You don't need to do all of them. You just need to do something. And here's the trick: stacking. Remember this idea because it'll come up again. Stacking is when you take something you already do and link a new habit to it. Like, after I brush my teeth, I do 30 seconds of deep breathing. Or while the kettle boils, I stretch. No extra effort, just smarter placement. You're not adding chaos to your mornings. You're adding calm. You're rewriting the script from wake up and react to wake up and lead. And let's say, for example, your mornings are wild already: kids, pets, noise, responsibilities. You still have a right to carve out 60 seconds of stillness. One deep breath. One quiet affirmation while brushing your hair. One silent pause before stepping into the day. That counts. That's a morning ritual too. It's not about being productive. It's about being present. You're not trying to win the morning. You're trying to meet yourself in the morning. And that's what makes it sustainable. Because when your morning feels like you, not a checklist, you start looking forward to it. And that, my friend, is motivation on autopilot. Let's circle back to something important. Your routine doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Maybe your version of stillness is music. Maybe your version of movement is dancing while you make toast. Maybe your version of gratitude is simply not yelling at the coffee maker today. Whatever it is, let it be enough. Because the more your morning feels like a gift to yourself, not a task for yourself, the more it becomes a habit that sticks. A source of fuel instead of friction. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't start by scrolling or stressing or sprinting. Start by coming home to yourself. Even just for a moment. Take a breath. Take a sip. Take your time. This is how motivation grows quietly in the background of your life. Through light, through movement, through a rhythm you create, one soft morning at a time. Let's slow down and take a look inside your brain for a minute. Not in a weird sci-fi way, but in the quiet, fascinating way that helps you understand why motivation sometimes shows up strong and sometimes ghosts you completely. You know those mornings when you wake up ready to conquer life, and then the very next day, getting out of bed feels like dragging your soul through molasses? Yeah, that's not laziness, it's chemistry. See, motivation isn't magic. It's biology. It's your brain mixing together a little cocktail of dopamine, anticipation, and reward systems. And when it's working well, you feel lit up, clear, focused, even excited about small things. But the tricky part? Your brain doesn't naturally care about long-term goals. It likes instant gratification. It's wired for survival, not kale smoothies and meditation apps. Here's how it works. Every time you expect a reward, whether it's a bite of chocolate or the satisfaction of finishing something, your brain releases a little dopamine. Not when you get the reward, but when you anticipate it. So, oddly enough, it's the expectation of success that really fuels your motivation. Mainstream neuroscience backs this up. Dopamine doesn't just make you feel good, it makes you want to act. That's why setting up tiny wins is so effective. You're essentially tricking your brain into staying interested by feeding it a steady drip of progress. Now here's something you probably haven't heard. There's a growing body of researchers exploring how music, yes, music, can manipulate this entire process. Some people literally build playlists designed to trigger dopamine releases and increase productivity. These aren't just feel-good tracks. They're wired into the listener's emotional memory to help anchor certain states of focus or motivation. It's like a personal soundtrack to kick your brain into gear. So what does that mean for you? It means you can actually design your motivation triggers. You can create little rituals or cues that spark that dopamine loop. Maybe it's lighting a candle before you write, or brewing a specific type of tea when you start your workout. Over time, your brain begins to associate those triggers with action. And suddenly the motivation you thought was gone? It's just been waiting for the right signal. Still, experts argue whether external cues, like music or rituals, are enough on their own. Some believe you need deep intrinsic motivation to make real change last. Others say building external structure creates internal desire. The truth probably lives in the middle, as usual. Both can feed each other. Your external environment can nurture internal drive, and vice versa. So what can you actually do with this? First, start paying attention to what already motivates you naturally. What makes you feel energized, focused, or just kind of ready? Is it certain sounds? Time of day? The feeling after finishing a task? Whatever it is, use that. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just start noticing what already works and lean into it. Second, start celebrating tiny wins more than you think you should. Finished your water? Say, hey, go me. Did 5 minutes of movement? That counts. Train your brain to associate completion with satisfaction, even if it's laughably small. This might sound a little silly, but here's a fun quirk. Some people make done lists instead of to-do lists. Instead of writing down what they need to do, they write down what they already did, like woke up, stretched, fed the cat. And you know what? It works. It builds positive feedback loops. Your brain loves being reminded that it's not failing, doing just fine. Because motivation isn't a personality trait. It's a skill, a renewable resource, something you can train like a muscle. And once you stop waiting for it to show up and start learning how to create it, that's when things really start to shift. Let's say you're trying to build a habit like going for a walk after work. But every day around 5 p.m., you hit that familiar slump. Tired, maybe a little grumpy, no interest in movement. Here's where science comes in handy. Try temptation bundling. It's a fun little concept where you pair something you need to do with something you want to do. Only listen to your favorite podcast while you walk. Or save that true crime episode for your walking time. Now the walk isn't a chore. It's a delivery system for dopamine. Your brain starts to associate the habit with pleasure. And once that link is made, you stop fighting yourself so much. You're not battling laziness. You're just playing a smarter game. And if one day you skip the walk, don't panic. Don't spiral. Just reset the cue tomorrow. Remember, you're building something long-term here, not performing for a scoreboard. This is also a great time to remember your why. Motivation always runs deeper when you're connected to purpose. Not a dramatic movie montage kind of purpose. Just something real. Something you feel. Maybe your why is wanting to feel stronger, or clearer, or more confident. Maybe it's about showing up better for people you love. Or maybe it's just proving to yourself that you can change your own story. Even quietly, even slowly. Whatever it is, write it down. Or whisper it to yourself when you feel stuck. Let it be soft. Let it be enough. Because when you combine small actions, positive feedback, and emotional connection, you stop waiting for motivation to strike. You become the source of it. And honestly, that's when things get powerful. That's when the habits stick. Not because you're pushing yourself, but because something inside you wants to keep going. You're not forcing change anymore. You're just remembering who you've always been underneath the noise. Someone capable. Someone in motion. Someone quietly rewiring their life one cue at a time.